Welcome to a new episode of the Focus Bee Show. Today is my absolute favorite topic. I know I say this pretty much about every single episode I do, but really, inner transformation is the topic I am most passionate about, even more than focus. The reason I feel so passionately about inner transformation is because, first of all, through inner transformation, you can reach outer success. And second of all, inner transformation is really what helps us to be happy and fulfilled. Too often, we believe that we're going to be happy once we reach a certain goal, once we have that external quote unquote success. And we're disappointed or we're crushed. I remember interviewing Phil Palusha on my podcast and him saying that when he reached 7 figures, he was actually depressed. The reason why this happens is because we think that when we reach this goal, something will change, that we'll suddenly feel differently. And so we put all our hopes and expectations onto this external goal. And that when we actually reach it, we're looking and searching for that feeling. And it doesn't come because external results do not give us that internal feeling. So this is one of the main reasons, core reasons why I'm passionate about inner transformation. The concept behind today's episode is to look at, yes, how you can work on inner transformation for outer success, but also to keep in mind that inner transformation in and of itself is already the best goal, the best thing you can aspire to. Because if you're able to transform from within, then you'll be more fulfilled, in peace, relaxed, calm, have more joy in your life. So just keep in mind when you're working on these external results, because yes, it's nice, to have a great business or to, be healthy for sure and have great relationships. Just keep in mind while you work on this that inner transformation is already magic and gold on its own without the external success. Today, I want to dive into one aspect of inner transformation, because there's a whole framework that I cover in my free masterclass that's linked here below on inner transformation for outer success. So there's a whole framework there. But one aspect in particular is very interesting. And this aspect is identity. Identity is the light in which you view yourself. And you cannot reach external success without having done any type of identity work. So maybe you've reached some great successes in your life and thought, but you didn't do any identity work to get there. Probably you did, but you weren't aware of it. Your identity, the light in which you view yourself, changed. So where does our identity come from? Why is it that we see ourselves in a certain light? Identity is really a conglomeration, a mix of past memories, experiences, what people have told us about ourselves and our capabilities, where we feel comfortable, what we enjoy doing, and all of this is mixed together to create how we feel about certain topics. For instance, if you were bad at sports in school, and you dislike running because you always came last and you haven't run since, you probably have an identity of not being a runner. That means that if there are groups of runners, you don't feel that you click with them, or it's not an activity you're going to pursue. And if you suddenly decided and got really excited about doing a marathon, there would need to be some shifts in identity so that you start seeing yourself as a runner. To do this, we'll cover this later in the episode, but first let's get to really understand this concept of identity. Another great example would be if you thought you were terrible at languages. My mother's an English teacher and she teaches English in France. And she has sometimes taught some pupils who have literally burst into tears and said, I cannot speak a word of English. I was traumatized at school by my teacher who told me I'm not good at English. I can't speak it. Now here we have a huge identity blockage linked to past trauma, where the person doesn't believe they're capable of speaking a language because of past memories and the way they view themselves in terms of identity. So there needs to be a shift in terms of self-belief and the belief they hold around this, so that they can start to see, maybe I could speak English. Maybe I just need to work on this and learn some vocabulary and start listening to podcasts in English. And maybe I will manage to get there. It's also linked to the fixed and growth mindset that Carol Dweck talks about in her book Mindset. So it's a very common way of looking at things, and it can be changed. And if you want to be fluent in English or in Spanish, if you would love to speak Spanish fluently, podemos hablar en español juntos si quieres. Me encanta hablar español. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Love Spanish. But yes, that's the idea. If you want to learn a language, just start to see yourself as someone who speaks a language or as someone who's learning the language. Now, the theory is always easier than the practice. So how can you change your identity? If you want to become that runner or that Spanish fluent speaker or running a 7-8 figure business, how can you shift your identity so that you actually start to see yourself like that? A great exercise is to look at your thoughts. We don't spend enough time really analyzing, understanding, processing the thoughts that we have. So every so often when you think, I am not capable to do X, Y, Z, that's a belief. And then if it's followed by because I'm not X, Y, Z, that's the identity. For instance, I'm not capable to go jogging every Saturday morning because I am not a runner. Sometimes you might just hear the first part, the belief. I am not capable to speak English, to speak Spanish, to earn X amount of money. You might not hear the identity part behind. It's still there, but maybe you don't formulate it in your mind. Start to pay attention on these thoughts. Start to notice them. And if you can, just pause and question it. What's preventing me from going to run? What's preventing me from speaking fluent English or Spanish? Or what's preventing me from earning 7 figures? The mind will come up with excuses. It's not going to say because that's not your identity and you need an identity shift. No. It'll say something like, well, you've never been able to run or this and that happened. It'll justify why you can't do it. And in those moments, the most powerful thing you can do is to shift the energy by asking, what if I were able to speak Spanish? What if I was able to go running? Because in that moment, you go from a state of blockage and limits and boundaries to a state of possibility. And you're just saying, what would that be like? What would my life look like if I did do that? And start to feel that shift. Identity work is a deep work. It can be a flip within an instant, a day, a coaching session, or it can be take a week, a month, a year. It depends what you're working on. It depends how deeply rooted it is, but it is a process and you will start to notice how it changes. So this is tool number 1. Start to notice your thoughts. Tool number 2, that's similar, is start writing your thoughts. So when you journal and you write it, you will start to notice these patterns, what you're writing about, how you feel, what your limitations are. That's the second tool. Number 3, meditate. because when you meditate, you're better able to notice your emotions, your thought patterns, and see what's coming up in terms of identity. Number 4, obviously work with a coach. This is what coaches specialize in, or one of the reasons coaches are able to help a client go from where they are to where they want to be is because they help them through the identity work, through the mindset, through the beliefs. So that's obviously a very powerful tool. And number 5, start to act and think like that new person you'd like to be. What would I do if I did speak Spanish? I would listen to things in Spanish. I would speak with Spanish people. What would I do if I could run? I'd join a running club. I'd buy these shoes. I just start to think and act. And this is specifically very powerful in terms of mindset shifts, in terms of growing your business. What would I do if I had a 7-figure business? Would I still accept this client work? Would I show up with that energy? Would I charge this amount? Would I neglect this aspect? Would I pay more attention to this? Because when you start to think and act like the person you'd like to become, you might just wake up one morning and realize you have become that person. You have done your marathon, or you're on the way there. You're able to speak in Spanish. You've grown your business how you'd wanted to. And so all this identity work pays off. I'd love to cover this more in depth. There's so much to say on this topic. Like I said, I have a free masterclass on inner transformation for outer success. It's totally free. It's in the show notes. So there's more depths and details on inner transformation. And also, if you have any questions around this identity work, it's such a deep topic. There's so much to say about this. Don't hesitate to message me on any social media or via my email or my website. Anyway, it's a powerful topic. Like I said, I love inner transformation. And don't forget what I said at the beginning, that the external results, great, enjoy that marathon, Spanish, business. But remember that it's all about how you feel within and how you change and grow as a person. Thank you for tuning in today. It was wonderful to host this episode on inner transformation. I'm wishing you a wonderful, wonderful, magical day ahead.